Hey, this is Erich Hunter here, and I got a really good question about pendulum healing, and I thought I would just share it with the world. So it says, I'm just reading off the computer. So it says, hey, Eric, sometimes the pendulum shows nearly no movement or a neutral movement when I say the command. What does this mean? Is it that healing is not necessary at this moment? Or that maybe I'm not in a condition to do the pendulum healing, or maybe something is disturbing the healing, or maybe I didn't have enough water, so my energy is imbalanced, or my system's imbalanced. What do you think? Okay, so great question. This is a very common problem that you'll encounter with pendulum healing or situation. I'll just kind of explain how it works. So normally, when you do a pendulum healing, you'll say a command like change a person's energy to blue-green, and then the pendulum should start to spin around. Okay, and then eventually it will stop and go side to side. But now some people, when they say it, they'd be like, change the energy to blue-green, and the pendulum will just like stay there and not move. So what does that mean? Well, it turns out it can indicate several things. So number one, it could indicate that no further healing is required. And let me just kind of illustrate that here really quick. So let's say my throat feels a little tense right now because I've been doing a lot of talking. So neutralize any blocks in my throat chakra. All right, so you see how the pendulum is starting to spin around. All right, then it goes side to side. So that's done. All right, so now if I say again, neutralize any blocks in my throat chakra. Doesn't really move very much. It does a little bit, but it's not as pronounced. So basically, if you are doing a pendulum healing and like the commands that normally work for you are not working, it may mean that the person has already received enough healing. So if you've done like several healing sessions on them, they may be saturated. So you may not need to do any more. Okay. What else could it possibly mean? Well, another thing it could mean is that maybe the person is not ready to receive a healing, or maybe they're not ready to receive a healing from you. So you have to check that. So you can douse this with a simple yes-no chart. So what I do is just on my computer, with a marker, I just wrote a Y and a no on the right-hand side of my keyboard, kind of near the little arrow keys. And when I'm not sure, I just grab a pendulum and I just say, like, is this person have a block? And I would just check yes or no. It would swing towards the Y or the no. So a command that you can do right away, if you don't want to douse that, if you just want to go straight to the command, this could save time if it's not working. You could just say, neutralize any blocks that person X has to healing, or that the person has to healing. Or increase their ability to receive healing to the highest level possible. So those are two quick ones that you can do. Now, if the person has an emotional block to receiving healing, I have a whole protocol I've created that explains how to address that. So, and it's free. You can learn how to do it, and it's extremely effective. I had a paid version of a course that's more detailed, but it's just such a valuable technique. I wanted as many people to learn as possible, so I distilled it down to the core essence of it and put it available online for free, no obligations. To just get on there and learn that if you haven't done so already. Because the second step in the protocol is you check to see if the person is ready to receive healing from you. And if they're not, what emotion is blocking them from receiving healing from you? So like if a person was traumatized in the past, they may have an emotional block to strangers interacting with their energy field or something. So, you want to find out what it is, and then you want to heal that first, and then try what you're doing before again to see, like, well, does it work or not work now? Does it spin or not spin? Okay, so there could be blocks to healing that the person has. It could be that they don't need it. There could be blocks. What else could it be? Well, another thing is that you may be doing the wrong approach to the healing. So you may be using a pendulum command, which is inappropriate for the situation. And that's one reason why I have so many different courses, is because what pendulum healing does is it increases the probability or the likelihood that something will occur. So you take different approaches to try to stimulate a healing response. And the more that you know, the more you can come at it from different angles, and with luck, stimulate a healing response, or increase the probability to the point where healing occurs. So and now I have lots of different courses, but one really important course along those lines is called What Command Should I Use? And in this course, I teach you like a strategy or a protocol that's like cut and paste, where you can apply it to any situation, but it allows you to create a customized set of pendulum healing commands that are unique to the situation you're dealing with. So that way you don't have to get like very creative and be like thinking about all these different ways that you want to write the pendulum healing command. I give that to you. All you need to do is just do a little research on the issue that you're trying to solve, and then just sort of plug in the information into the commands that I've already created. So that is another way you can do it. Okay, now it is also possible that you yourself are just not ready to do a healing at this point. Maybe you're hungry, or you're tired, or maybe it's just something is just not, it's more pressing that you're not dealing with, and you're getting a signal that, hey, I need to put this healing aside and come back to it later, and I need to take care of something for myself right now. Like the person asked, like hydration. Yeah, maybe you need a glass of water, maybe you need some food, maybe you need to take a nap, maybe you need to go for a walk, maybe you need to, help your kid who's doing their homework or something. Who knows, right? Many different things. Maybe there's something you needed to do, you couldn't do, and you haven't done it. So now you need to do that first before you can get down to the healing. Obviously, in an emergency situation, we don't have that luxury, but like for just a general healing, you do. So that could be another reason why. All right, there are other reasons too. It seems like an endless list, but I'll just come up with a few more here. So another one is that even if the person is willing to receive healing from you, it just may be that it's not exactly the right time to do it. Because in other systems of healing, especially in ancient systems, it was known that there were certain times that were better for trying to do things than other times. So, for example, like most famous one is like, phases of the moon, or certain astrological or astronomical cycles that are going on, like they're more beneficial for doing certain things than at other times. Could even be certain times of the day, like the body has a circadian rhythm, or the person may be awake or they may be sleeping. So, it could be that maybe the pendulum is not moving because it's just not the right time of the day, or maybe it's just not the right day to do the healing. So that's another variable that you could think about if this is happening. Okay, now another reason why your pendulum might not move when you're doing this is that you may be inhibited for some reason, or you may have a lot of self-doubt, or like is it really moving or not, or am I moving it or am I not moving it? And let me clear that up right away. You are moving it. With dowsing or pendulum healing, whatever, you are totally moving it. I'm sorry. I've done experiments with this where like I tacked the pendulum onto a board so that like it couldn't move, but then I would grab the string and I would try to do a healing to see like, well, does the pendulum move with just my psychic intention or my energy connecting to it? And it does not move. I even did it where like the pendulum was straight up and down, and like it was tacked to a board here, and just tacked at one single point so that it would have the ability to move if it could. Like I even made it like that the tack was like kind of loose, but like, so anyway, but like basically it wouldn't move unless my hand was holding it and it was not attached to anything. So that proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that we're the ones moving a pendulum. Now, it's unconscious, this movement. It's like, they call it like ideomotor movements. It's an unconscious movement that you do. So it's very hard to replicate it consciously in the same way. And sometimes the pendulum does seem to kind of have a life of its own when it like hooks into someone's energy field. And I don't discredit that idea. It's possible that like there's a synergism that makes it move in a slightly different way than it would just if it was just you moving it. But basically, so what you need to realize, if you've ruled out everything else and it's still not moving, you can just spin it intentionally. Now, there's a whole, like, there are a group of pendulum healers over in Germany and Europe, and they do that. They don't even, like, the way I teach it is that, like, I just teach people to allow the subtle movement to just occur naturally. A lot of people think that it's happening without them moving their hand, but I disagree with that. But basically, it's still the same result. You're not consciously like whipping it around. You know, either if you believe it's moving by itself, it just starts moving, or, you know, some subtle movement of your hand triggers the movement. Okay, but there's another school of pendulum healing out there where they tell you just to start spinning it intentionally, and don't even, like, you never have this problem because you just spin it. And, you know, if you spin it really fast, you're actually starting to approach the Schumann frequency of the earth, which is kind of a cool thing, but, you know, for healing, but the pendulum could fly off. But, you know, you can just spin it gently. Like, you don't have to whip it around. Like, the people in Europe really spin it fast, but you know, you could just give it a little gentle, like a little love tap, like, you know, like, there, let's let it go a little bit. You know, it's perfectly fine. The worst that would happen is you just send some healing to the person that they can't receive or they don't need. So don't be shy about that. You can just swing it, and that's fine. So like I said, or like I kind of indicated here, there are a lot of subtleties and nuances and a lot of reasons why something may not be working. It doesn't mean that the method is invalid or that there's something wrong with you. Because there are so many variables when you come into a healing. And like I said, that's why I create all these different courses, because, you know, the more you know, the more you can troubleshoot and you can try to find solutions and bring different points of view to the situation. Like, you increase your consciousness about all this, and it can allow you to solve some of these issues. If you're a beginning pendulum healer and it's just not spinning for you, don't get frustrated. In the beginning, while you're learning, just gently give it a tiny little push and just let it spin around and say the pendulum command, like let's say you say raise vitality to the highest level possible. It's not spinning. Don't get upset. Just say raise vitality and just give it a little push yourself and let it spin around, and it will still work. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have questions or comments about pendulum healing, please send them to me either via my Facebook group. Now, I do have a Facebook group, but it's only for people who are studying my work. So you either have to have completed my free course or a paid course or have read my book, and you need to answer the questions in the Facebook group to gain access to the group. But once you're in, you know, it's about my teaching, so I want people to be on board with that before they join. But yeah, you can do it on the Facebook group. You can make a comment below down here, or you can send me an email through my website. I'll put a link to my website up above. And I would love to answer your questions about pendulum healing in the form of like a little video like this. All right, thanks very much. Nice seeing y'all. Have a great day. Bye.